Welcome to this week's vlog. Last week I said that we'd done our response to the Land Use Framework consultation, and on Tuesday the Efra Committee held a panel session, and I was asked to be on the second panel with 40 or 50 different organisations in the room to highlight our genuine concerns that food production is being taken for granted, that while we have legislated environmental targets, we don't have a legislated food production target, and at the moment it's the poor relation. We must make sure that through the Land Use Framework, food production is genuinely prioritised. Our External Affairs team also organised an MP drop-in session with the environmental organisations. Ahead of the comprehensive spending review, it's absolutely essential to have a unified voice fighting for the agricultural or environmental budget that underpins environmental delivery and brings stability to farming businesses. It was a well-attended event, and it was great to be able to share the room with those other organisations. I also had a meeting with the President-elect of King's College Student Union. They are very concerned that there isn't enough British produce on their menu, and they wanted to know what can be done to try and make more British produce available and also to enable all students to have choice. They have real concerns about Meat-Free Monday and telling people how to eat rather than giving them choice. And then finally on Thursday, we've had Beef and Lamb New Zealand in the London office. Now, obviously there's been everything that's gone on around the trade conversations, but at the moment, finding our friends around the world is really important, particularly when it comes to the topic of methane. And this is where we can genuinely work with other like-minded organisations that have real concerns that the current methodology really doesn't demonstrate the warming potential, and it unfairly penalises ruminant livestock. I think this is going to be a really interesting and productive area moving forwards, where we can work together with them and other organisations around the world to try and get a realistic measurement for the warming impact of methane. I'm now going to hand over to David and Rachel.
This week I attended the quarterly meeting of the DEFRA Farm Tenancy Forum. We covered inheritance tax and the severe impact of the government's changes for some tenants. We covered the sudden closure of SFI and how that's created a real cash flow crisis for some tenants unable to meet their rent and perhaps unable to meet the terms of a new tenancy they've tendered for. We worked on the Land Use Framework consultation and the impact for some of our uplands members, and we carried on our work on how to drive more longer-term tenancies for the sector. The Minister, Daniel Zeichner, attended, and the forum is a great place to have frank, detailed and direct discussions with the Minister. He was in listening mode, but everybody around the table made their views very clear. The tenancy sector is a vital part of the agriculture industry, and the forum is a great way to get the view of you, our members and the NFU direct into the heart of government. I'm now going to hand over to Rachel, who's been working on flooding this week.
So I've just spent the last 2 days down in Somerset talking with members about all the work that the NFU is doing on their behalf. But the main reason I'm down here is to talk about water. It's really important that we ensure that this area does not suffer the floods that it suffered in the past. It's very clear to me that we've got exactly the same problem down here as we have throughout the rest of the country. We need joined up thinking, we need more maintenance, and we need to work together with the Environment Agency, Natural England, DEFRA and those IDBs. It's the same wherever I go. We need to talk together to get this right on behalf of our members.
I know that many of you across the country have been making use of this fine spell of weather, but I'm sure we're all hoping that the forecast will change and that there'll be a decent rain to keep those crops growing. Thank you very much for listening. I look forward to speaking to you next week.